Hello, everyone. It's Laura with Stamen Greater Works. We are so excited for tonight. We have on a very special guest. Miss Jenna is going to be sharing with us her testimony, and she's also going to be sharing with us several months ago, she was involved in almost a nearly fatal accident, and you're going to want to hear this because the Lord saved her, and it goes to show that nothing is impossible for our Lord. So you're going to want to hear this. She has an amazing story to tell.
Absolutely. I'm Rachel with Same and Greater Works, and we're so excited to have Jenna on as our guest speaker tonight. It's going to be a really powerful night, and I know many people are going to be really impacted by her story. So I can't wait to see how God uses her tonight and just hear her full testimony.
Yes, so everyone, please welcome Jenna. Jenna, did
Hi.
you, yeah, so tell us a little bit about from where everything kind of first began for you.
So I always grew up in the church. My family has always been in the church. And I was at my grandma's vacation Bible school, laying in the bed one night, and I was asking her questions. And I was like, I want to be saved. And I was so called the head saved, but not in the heart saved. And I lived my life. I became a teenager. I was made stupid teenager mistakes and still do. And we went to a different church. Um, I could feel the Lord tugging on my heart and telling me some things, but I was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And then I went to church camp, and the first night, I, I was like, I'm ready, but I didn't want to go down to the aisle the first night. So when we got back to our room, I texted my youth pastor and I was like, can I talk to you and her wife after we're done talking, have our small group discussion and everybody gets ready for bed, and we went out on the balcony, and that's when I really fully committed to Jesus, and my life forever changed from there.
That's
Praise the
awesome. So what made you go to that balcony and kind of have that life-changing moment of, really deciding that you wanted to really surrender everything that you had to Jesus?
I was just tired and was like, I can't do it on my own anymore, and I need somebody. And it was just when Jesus is telling you, hey, this is your time and I want you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
I was just going to ask her what happened next after that.
And then I texted the time difference, but I texted my family, and it was about the next day. And I told two of my friends, they were sitting in the closet just talking like girl talk. And I went there and told them because they're like two of my best friends. And I told them, and I sat there with them and talked to them. And I kind of kept it a secret for a couple of days, just kind of taking it in on myself. And I had told, because like every night for camp, we would have all the girls come together, and then all the boys would go together and talk, have our nightly discussion about our day and the questions we had to answer. And that Wednesday night, because Thursday night was the last night, Wednesday night, I told all the girls. And then that Thursday night, everybody came together. And at the very end, um, my youth pastor announced it, and then he announced one of the guys had gotten saved, and it was the surprise to the guys, it was the surprise to the girls of like the opposite of
Oh.
me being saved and the other guy being saved. And I came home and continued going to church, and the summer was just so busy that it was like mid-June, and then July I went on a mission trip, and I went on vacation, and then I got baptized. I got saved on June 12th, 2022, and was baptized on July 30th of 2022.
Wow, I did not realize it was that soon. So almost a little over a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you feel, kind of from where your life was before getting saved to kind of, how your life is a little bit different now since you have truly been saved?
I can tell like I have more peace about everything, and when something goes wrong, I have that peace knowing that Jesus is going to take care of this. And it's just a whole different mindset and different, instead of the world view, I have God's view of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen. Praise the Lord. So would you kind of bring us up to speed to you said you wanted to talk about Lance and bring us up to where you and Lance and his mother were in a horrific car accident this past
Yeah.
summer.
Well, we started dating in May, and about a month and a half into dating, we went on vacation. My mom was in kind of the same area, about 3 hours away from us, and she was gone the same week. One day she came up and spent the day with us, and she drove 3 hours back to Panama. And this is where I kind of think it's about 30 minutes from Orange Beach of where we were, and that's where I went to camp. And then we went to that area, and so we spent time together. It was a really great week. And on the way home, we were about 2 3 hours in, and somebody T-boned us, and we were in the middle of nowhere. And I blacked out, and I look over, and all I see is blood, and I was like, is he even breathing? I check it, like motherly instincts kick in, or the kind of medical side of me kicks in. So I like check his pulse. I was like, okay, he has a pulse. Well, there's blood everywhere. So I'm like, is it glass? Well, I have scratches on my arm, and because the airbags come out, and when the airbags come out, it feels like glass is sticking in you. Like I've heard of stories, but never had an airbag come out on me, because I was in the front and the back doesn't have airbags. Well, hey, the door is crushed on him, and hey, I don't hear any sounds from. Well, people from Dublin had passed by, but they really didn't know who it was. They were just like, "Oh, it's a wreck on the side of the road." And his mom was just in the back praying that we wouldn't flip. We just spun out a little bit. I was blacked out, so I didn't remember. All I remember is waking up and seeing my surroundings and all these strange people around me. And I guess the police were there when I had woken up or come into to where I was like, oh, we were in a wreck. Because I remember like a hit, and that's the last thing I remember. And then the first thing she was like, call her mom. So I was scrounging around for my phone because stuff was everywhere. We had food, we had just ate. He didn't even eat because he was driving. We were about to switch driving, and I was like, oh my gosh, where's my phone? I need to find my phone. I need to find my driver's license. Everything was everywhere. So I found my phone. And my dad has always told me to keep your phone charged. You never know what may happen. Well, I've kept my phone charged ever since, because while we were in that hospital, I was having to use people's chargers. It would constantly try and go dead, but I tried keeping it to where I could use it for emergencies like this. Well, I was like, it kept ringing or it didn't ring. I was like, Jesus, please let this phone call go through. And I called her. It didn't go through the first time. I had no bar service.
Is that
No,
what you said? Calling your mom, right?
yes. That was the first thing she thought of. And then like the call didn't go through. I was like, please, Jesus, let this phone call go through. So I called my youth pastor and his wife. I tell them she starts praying, and I call my pastor and his wife, and she starts praying, and she gets on the prayer chain immediately. So I finally called. I was like, well, if those went through, maybe this phone call will go through to my mom. She was at my grandma's in East Dublin. She had just gotten home good and settled it back in because she got home that Friday. And so she was outside with my dog, outside with my grandma, doing their thing. And she got this phone call. And I said, Mom, I'm okay. I'm alive. Lance is breathing, but I don't know what's wrong with him. His mom is okay. Because we didn't know her full medical issues right then. Because we didn't know for a while. And so
I think it was like two days, but yeah, we'll
yeah.
get to.
And so my mom was like, Mom, she's gonna cry because her baby's in a car wreck. So we went to a hospital. We were in about the Florida Alabama line, and the closest hospital was 25 minutes away in Dothan. And so me and her get in the ambulance. They take us to Dothan. They helicopter ride him too because they don't want to mess with him on a road like that. So we get there. I had people calling me because with my family have been in really bad car accidents in the past, and they've lost people. And so my dad had just gotten home, and he calls, and he just starts crying. So then his mom finds out from my aunt because it's on the prayer chain. And so she didn't know. And then my aunt calls me, and she was worried sick. And I had people calling, texting me. And we get to the hospital, they get checked in. And I keep saying, I'm hurting, I'm in pain. Well, I go up to the front, and they were asking me all these questions. I check in, like, okay, are you 18? I say, no. Well, your guardian has to be here. Well, my guardian's 4 hours
Just to
away.
clarify, 17. So keep going, but they gave her a really hard time about it. Anyways, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm hurt. I'm in pain. Like, you can't see me. And so my mom and grandma, my mom was like, I need to go. And so that mom instinct says, I need to go. So the grandma has to come along too. So she packs her stuff. My mom goes home, packs her stuff, and they get in the car and come. Well, it's dark, 8, 9 o'clock when they get there. Because this is well into way after lunch.
And what time? Okay, so the wreck happened.
I think it was like 1 or 2-ish. I don't think the time had changed on us yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like 2 here. So we got in there to the hospital and everything, and then we didn't know where he was. Well, we found out where he was. And so they got her in the room, and I just stayed in the room with her because I wasn't as bad off as they were. She wasn't as bad off as he was though. So I sat there and charged my phone. People calling me because I had people like because it had already been posted on Facebook and everything. So I had friends texting, calling, and one specific friend, she DM'd me on Instagram, and she's like, "Can I have your number?" I gave her my number, and I hear a lot of voices, and this is like me and Lance's friend group together because I grew up with him, and like it just kind of happened to where we kind of have a lot of the same friends. And so they dropped everything and met up at, I think it was our friend Leah's house, and dropped everything, went to her house and started praying. I was like, I've never had anybody just drop everything in their day and just go pray. Well, they prayed for hours, and they prayed over the phone with me. And so my mom gets there, I guess the first name they would think of is Lance's name. Well, they go straight to him, and Lance's mom says, I just saw your mom in the hallway. So I call her, and she was like, what room are y'all in? And I tell her, and she comes running down the hallway. And all we can do is sit there and hug each other. So, and my ankle is swollen. I've already injured my ankle one time, and it's bad swollen, and I'm sitting here walking on it. And I tell her they won't see me until my guardian or parent got here. Well, my mom's gonna go and complain and raise like complain to everybody. So they get me checked in finally, get all my information, they x-ray everything. Everything's fine. It's just a bad sprain. Well, okay, had that before. So all that's good. And then we go and I sit there and there's no service barely, and it's raining. It's a bad storm that night. So they take her because from Dothan to they x-ray him and everything, tell us what's wrong with him with a broken pelvis, internal bleeding, and his bladder barely hanging on by a thread. And so,
And this is your boyfriend, right?
yes.
And he received most of the impact, right?
Yes, because he was the one driving, and where they hit us, it was on the driver's side door. And so when that door crushed him, I mean, he's not fat and he's not skinny, but he's very fragile. So it got him really good. And so we got to the 20 minutes down the road to the hospital in Birmingham. So let me back up. They take his mom 3 hours down the road to Birmingham. And moms aren't going to want to leave their child by themselves. So this is about 9:30-ish, maybe close to 10 o'clock. And we sit there and they were like, we're going to airlift him to Birmingham. And so we sit there until midnight. And they finally take him. Well, in the middle of all this, I'm sitting there, my grandma's sitting there. My grandma had never met Lance. And so he was like confused of who it was because he recognized me, he recognized my mom. Well, we're sitting there. I'm tired. I know my grandma and mom are tired. And so it's midnight here, and we scrounge around looking for hotels because it's midnight and we're all tired and we just want to go to bed. Well, we finally find a hotel, and we would get up the next morning, figure out everything, and this is Sunday morning because that happened on a Saturday, and it was in the middle of it all. While we were sitting there in that hospital room with him, he just kept talking and talking, and
I didn't realize he was able to talk at this point. I guess I didn't realize he was conscious at that point.
he was conscious at that point, and like he was asking for me, asking for his mom.
So
Cause
was it that he was like unconscious?
no, at first he was when it happened,
Uh-huh.
and then once he got to the hospital and they did what they had to do, he was conscious. And first his mom went and saw him, and then I went and saw him because after when my mom got there, because they were doing stuff to me and making sure I was okay. And then he was talking to us, asking my mom where I was, and so he was worried about me and was talking to me, and our friends were still texting me, and I asked him, "Do you want to talk to so and so or call them or FaceTime them?" And so I let him talk to his friends because they were worried. And finally, I text one of his friends that I had just met. And we had met in like the Walmart parking lot on the weekend of July 4th for his Christmas, because I went to a pool party with Lance at his house like the week before, and we were supposed to leave like the next week. And I thought, hey, this is just going to be somebody I see every now and then. Well, he was in the pool all day. He finally gets out of the pool and goes inside. His phone is blown up, and he just falls to his knees and starts crying. And so I talked to him, make sure he's okay, and then um he is constantly texting me asking how Lance is, and I call him, Lance talks to him, and so the next morning we're in the hotel room. We're like, because all my life, all I have is my phone, my driver's license, and the clothes that are on my body, and that's all I have. Well, we were just trying to get to the car. We asked where the car was. Well, it had somehow the closest car place where they total cars was in like 20 minutes down into Florida. We were almost 4 hours away from the car. Well,
So you were with your mom and your grandma at this point, right? Because I know Lance was in the hospital for a while.
so we got to a hotel and we stayed in Dothan overnight. So then we were on the phone with the car company because it's a Sunday, they're probably closed. Well, they said, you're not the owner of the car. So that was a whole legal process, and we got something notarized and signed by somebody that his mom works with at the hospital where she works. And so they fax that over to the car place. We go to Birmingham, and it's about lunchtime when we leave, so it's later in the day when we get there. And so we go to the hospital, and she's in a room, and he's in her. They're on opposite sides of the hospital, on the same floor, but opposite sides. And so, and there's only like two at a time. Well, I go see Lance, and then we switch, and then I go in to see his mom. And so he has surgery. We stay in Birmingham that night. And so we go to Walmart and get me some clothes, get me some stuff to use for the next couple of days. Well,
because your luggage was like,
yes. And so they wouldn't let us even get to mine.
yeah.
My life was in that car. So
Yeah.
we get that settled, and we go and get her some stuff because she's in the hospital with nothing either except what the hospital gives her. And so we do that, and finally it's getting later, and so we get another hotel. And I think we spent more money on hotels than we did on actual vacation. That's what my mom said. So it was Monday by now, and we go from Birmingham. We go see them again before we leave, because we were like, well, we don't know when we'll be able to see him again, because we didn't know how long he was going to be there. And so we go from Birmingham to where the car is, and like 20 minutes down in Florida. So we get to the car, and I knew it was bad, but when I saw it after the fact, I was like, oh, this was really bad. Because I wasn't really worried about what the car looked like at that point when it happened. And I didn't look either. But when we got there, me and my mom were like looking at it, and she started crying. So I hugged her. I started crying. Mother-daughter moment for about 10 minutes, and then her mom comes over there. We all start taking pictures of it before we start moving anything. So, because we had to be really, really careful. And a lot of the stuff was in the trunk, and the trunk wasn't open, so they had to find some tools to open the trunk. Well, we get all the stuff, and we get in the car, and we come home, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning when we get home. And I still have people text me, getting my number, adding me on social media platforms that didn't have me, and asking about everything, hearing from other people, hearing at church already. Because by now it's all over Lawrence County. Because it was posted, it was on church prayer list already. And because I was supposed to sing that Sunday at my grandma's church, because I was going to take her place. And so she told him that she wasn't going to be there and told him what had happened. And so Monday rolls around, and I told his mom to keep me updated with everything. And he has the bladder surgery, I think, on that Sunday. And then he has, or maybe that Monday, my days ran together then. And then the next day, he has the pelvic surgery. So he's recovering from surgery. And then he has another surgery that they didn't know they were going to have to do because something went wrong. And so they do that. And then
Was that the surgery where, like, if they had moved him, it would have sooner to a different hospital sooner, it would have been life threatening?
I think so.
And God not like allowed it to be delayed and delayed and delayed because he was supposed to transfer hospitals a lot sooner. Actually got
And
to
so
or closer. Yeah.
2 weeks, my mom just had that instinct. Something told her, y'all need to go see them. So one Sunday, July 30th, and it just happened to be the day I was a year later after I was baptized.
Oh.
And so we get up. I have a big party I had to go to the night before. So we get up that morning and we leave and we go and see them. His mom knows, but he doesn't know. Well, he was supposed to come home that week, and it was 2.5 weeks in the Alabama hospital. And then once we stayed there, it's a 4-hour drive, so we stayed there for 3 or 4 hours, and it's him. So I surprised him, and then they were about to bathe him, so I went out, and me and my mom, dad, and his mom, we all sit in the waiting room. Well, me and my dad go back, and we start talking to him, and then his mom and my mom go back there, and my mom was talking to him, and then we were like, we're all hungry. It's almost supper time by now, so I'm sitting there. This is the first one-on-one I've had with him since, or like with him, just us two talking to him. And
that was like how long since the wreck at that point?
2.5. It happened the 15th, and this was the 30th, so it was a little bit over 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so I was sitting there talking to him, and I don't know what I asked him. And I said, I blacked out. Did you black out? He said, yes, I blacked out. And what he told me after, I was like, nobody has ever experienced that. So when he blacked out, I don't know if I think he had an out of body encounter with Jesus, because he was like talking and telling me about heaven. And I'm like, what the world? And he talked to Jesus, and I was like, wow. And all I could do was hug him. And it was just stunning to me of how he could have he couldn't have lived without what had happened, and just that encounter and what he went through is like, how could he still be here with going through that? He was like, God said he's not done with me, and all I could do was cry. And so he was wanting some Dairy Queen. He was wanting Dairy Queen Blizzard is all he kept asking for. And so they were gone for a good three hours because it was 5, and I think we left around 8 o'clock. I was like, where y'all at? It's 3 hours later and y'all are not back yet. Well, because this was the first time his mom had been out of the hospital. And because she doesn't know anybody, she doesn't know her way around there. My dad's a truck driver and he went through there all the time. So he kind of knew where everything was. And they went to Walmart and got her some stuff because they were there for another 2 or 3 days, I think. And then they went and got us some supper. It was, what was it called? It was not Zaxby's, but it's like the older Zaxby's. And then they brought us back an ice cream. Well, we left, and on the way home, I think you had texted me. When did you start texting me? I don't even remember.
I think it was like, I think I didn't find out until the day after. So I reached out to you as soon as I found out about it.
I think
So,
we were on.
so early on, like you
Yeah.
told me he was having his different surgeries and
Yeah.
things.
Okay. Because I didn't know if it was after when it was. So, and I remember you saying, I was thinking about you a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, and but this isn't the way I wanted to reach out and talk to you
Yeah.
again. That's
Yeah.
that
Yeah, because I've known her since she was 6 months old, just for the for the record. So yeah, I was just wanting to reconnect with her.
and
Yeah.
I was like, hmm. And so we get home, and at this point on the way home, I was texting my friend Brian. That was one of his best friends, and he invited me to 21 days of prayer at their church. And so I got up. They had already started the week. It was the week we went on vacation. And a couple of days after, he invited me to 21 days of prayer. They were like day 8 or 9 into it. So I went, and I got up every morning at 5 and went, and they had a little devotion. Each person, like different people, spoke every morning. And
Wow.
so I was like, I'm speaking, I want you to come. I'm kind of going to incorporate young Lance into it. I was like, okay. So I went. I was like, I've never been, I don't know what I'm walking into. And I bring my blanket, I bring my pillow, I bring my Bible, I bring my little notebook, and I sit there and I listen to him. And there were some nights where me and him would just stay on the phone and talk and talk. And there was one night I remember, and it was 12 o'clock at this point. I was like, I can't sleep. All I can think about is the wreck. And because we say we have dreams about it here and there. And he stayed up with me, and he told me to get down on my knees and pray. And he sent me Bible verses, he sent me songs. And these were songs that I knew. And I was just like, this is God's way of telling me, hey, I'm still here, I'm still with you. Because it was just songs that Lance had introduced me to that I've never heard before. And then he sent them to me. And let me see if I think I have some verses that he sent me.
Yeah, just to clarify for everybody, if y'all hadn't caught on to that yet, Lance is a Christian too. So just wanted to.
And he had sent me a couple of verses in Numbers, John, a couple of verses in John, a couple of verses in Philippians, Second Thessalonians, and Psalms. And so I went and read those and turned on those songs that he had sent me. Well, one of them was Peace Be Still, and I just started crying when I played it. And I was on my knees in my room. At this point, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I have to get up at 5. I'm going because I promised him I would come and hear him. Well, and I went, and just starting out your day, that, yeah, it's early in the morning, it's summer, but just starting out your morning that early and spending an hour at a time with God, it was life changing. Even though I was in a good relationship with God, but it just furthered me into it, and it helped me so much because I wasn't the type to pray out loud. I wasn't the type to just anywhere place and pray. And now I just pray when I need to. And so we become good friends, and
Through beginning to spend time with God every day.
yes, and I just kept on and kept on, and I was having to end it, and I still keep doing it. Yeah, I used to do it a lot, but the easier I've gotten, the less time I do it, and I know I need to get back on it. And I still have Rachel, and she's like texting me and sending me these songs and sending me these verses and texts me, checking up on me every day. And um he finally, after we go and see him in the hospital, it was like 3 days after, because we were like, all we're waiting on is transportation now. And they, while he was there still waiting on transportation, they were finding that his white blood count was so high. I think normal was like 9,000 and it was 22,000. And so they were worried about that. And so they got that under control with some antibiotics. And so I think it was like maybe a Wednesday-ish, Tuesday-ish, maybe. And so I get him home. I know there was a lot going on, and so I just waited a couple of days to go see him. And
that was a really long trip
yeah,
for him, everything he
and
had
so
been.
I was just like, well, I'm not gonna come see you when you get here because I know a lot's gonna be going on. And there were some people that there that day, and I was just like, I'm just not gonna add to it. Well, I think it's that weekend I go, like a Friday or Saturday. And so I give his mom a break because I know she's tired. She hasn't really gotten any rest, staying in the hospital that long on a pull out couch. And so I let her go home. I stay with him. And so he spends 2.5 weeks in Fairview doing inpatient therapy. And I'm up there about every day, and people are going to see him. And so when people aren't up there, I was up there. His mom was up there. And so one day, his friend Brian wanted to go see him. I was like, I'll take you to see him. And so I took him to see him. We were waiting because somebody was up there. And I took him up there, and they were just having it out, having a good time. And then me and his mom went and got supper that night. And so, and we brought it back, we ate, and I took him home. And he was nervous the whole time because I was like, don't be nervous. And then when we got back to the car and I took him home, all we could do was cry together. And so I went, it was the end of, wait, no, it was mid August. like the second week of August. And one night I had a family thing to go to, and they put him back on his medicine that he takes daily. And with all the other medicines he was on, he was hallucinating really bad. He was thinking he was going to die. He was seeing things, screaming like I've never heard anybody scream. I would not want to hear that scream again. And nobody knew what to do. So they did like a CT scan on him. Everything came back fine. So they were like, his mama demanded them to take him off, I think, 3 medicines and his daily medicine that he takes. So I called my friend Brian, and he was like, he told his parents, I have to go see him, because I didn't tell Lance he was coming, but I just said, somebody's here to see you. I'm going to go and I'll be back later because I have my family thing to go to. Well, as I'm gone, he's asking me where I'm at, when I'm going to be back. And nobody really has, it's rare that you have that one friend who just drops everything and says, I'm coming, or I'm going to do this. And it kind of says what kind of friends we all have. And it was just, and so I got there and he left, and we got him calmed down. The next day he was back to normal because those medicines had worn off. And so he was in there for 2.5 weeks, and he comes home.
That was in addition to the 2.5 weeks that he
Yes,
spent.
he came home
Right.
a day shy. He came home August 14th to his house for the first time, and that wreck happened on July 15th, so a day shy of a month in a hospital of some sort.
Yeah.
So, and he's finally at home, and this is a Tuesday. What was it? Because then he came home on a Monday, and the next day was the 15th. And so that Friday, I go and see him. Come like, a lot of people are going to show up at his house now that he's home. So I go that following Friday, and I spend the afternoon with them, and then I go back home. And he's still on, well, not really on crutches. Well, he's still hobbling around a little bit, but he's doing much, much better. And right now he still has, with his bladder being so bad, he's been to several doctor's appointments. He's been driving for a couple weeks now. I think since end of September, August. It was October, I think he started driving again. So he was driving again. He's been doing outpatient therapy since that week that he came home. So they started him on it. Like, they didn't wait. So after, and September, and he's still doing outpatient therapy now. And then he's been going to appointments here and there, but last week they said he's healing good the way he's supposed to. And then his bladder was still hurting, and so he went to the urologist last Thursday, a week from today. And so he had a UTI, and they put him on antibiotics, and we don't think it went away because it's been a problem ever since. And so now he's on antibiotics for 3 to 6 months.
Wow. It's a long time.
That's a really long time to be on antibiotic like that.
Yes, it is.
And he was back on his ADHD medicine. And so because I mean, he's mentally like still kind of not there all the way. He's depressed of everything he's been through. I keep it together, and his mom, and we're just all like tired, and he's and we're trying to he's gonna get a therapist because it's just he's not the same person at all, and he probably won't ever be. But I think through it all, it's just the things that his mom says and posts. It's just we couldn't have survived without Jesus.
Absolutely.
And
I do want to
God's protection through it all.
Yes, amen. And I wanted the listeners to hear this. What was Lance telling all the nurses about whenever he was able to?
Well, what blows my mind is in his condition, he was still himself, even if we're in town. He's always nice, and he asks him, do you believe in Jesus? Are you a follower of Christ? Or whatever, however he words it. In the hospital, every person he came in contact with, he would ask that. And one just walked away, and one actually responded and said yes. And he still brings it up every
Wow,
time.
wow, that's awesome. So he has become like he was a Christian before, but he's become even more on fire and even more determined to, introduce people to Jesus, obviously, than before because of the wreck.
And that's incredible, just being in so much pain. I can only imagine
Yeah,
being in a car accident that is as severe as the one that you're describing, to just have that joy inside of you of Jesus and wanting to tell everyone about Jesus. And I just want, all of our listeners to know, that's the true joy that Jesus can really bring to you. And, Jenna, I feel so strongly about this, but there's a reason that you're still here today, and God's not done with you. You are so young, and he has such an incredible plan for your life, and I know that he's going to do amazing things with you. I don't know what that is, but I feel so strongly that he has such a great purpose for you. And
that is
you're here, and you have an incredible story to tell, and just to show God's grace and God's mercy for his kids. And so I feel that so strongly and so powerfully.
Amen. I agree wholeheartedly. It's just obvious to me that like God has a calling on her life, and I'm just excited to see, what he continues to do through her. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
Jenna, is there anything else that you wanted to share?
That I can think of.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on so much, and, being so open and sharing your testimony. I know that takes a lot of courage, and a lot of boldness. And, I love that about you. I'm so grateful that you came on here and shared your story. And I really hope, someone out there hears this story, and it really touches them, and that's what, like, our testimony is like our greatest power to show like the love of God, the love of Jesus, and what he's done, in our lives. And sometimes, we just have to like know that our testimony is probably one of those most powerful stories that we can tell. And you certainly have such a strong, incredible testimony.
absolutely, because the Bible says we are overcomers by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So it's a powerful tool we can use to reach the lost.
Yeah. So we want to thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. And, Jenna just publicly saying this on record. You know, we care about you so much. I know that I just met you, but you know, I can tell you're wonderful. And if you ever need anything at any time, ever need just someone to talk to, or you know, advice or something, you can always reach out to me and Rachel. You know, we're more than happy to talk with you and just be there for you, whatever life might bring for you in the future.
Absolutely. I love you so much, Jenna, and I'm so thankful that God has spared you and for the beautiful heart that you have for him. And thank you again for coming on and testifying.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe to this video. And we will see you guys in our next video. Bye, everyone.